High school movies were a mainstay in the 80s, with a movie for just about every occasion, including The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, both previous episodes, by the way. Well, these films are certified classics. Another film, this week's episode, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, were so influential, it propelled a certain product into the public eye. Vans started when Paul Van Doren, his brother James, and Gordon C. Lee opened the first Vans store as the Van Doren Rubber Company on March 16, 1966 at 704 East Broadway in Anaheim, California. The Van Doren Rubber Company manufactured shoes, and upon opening, 12 customers purchased Van Deck shoes, now called Authentics, similar to the better-known Keds, but with a thicker sole. Imagine having one of those 12 originals. Where did those end up? So the store had display models of 3 styles of shoes, priced between $2.49, $23 today, and $4.99, $46.69 today, but did not have inventory on hand or even change to give customers. So customers left with the previously stated 12 display shoes and came back the next day to get proper change. Those were the days. 4 years later, the original Vans skateboard logo was designed in Costa Mesa, California by Mark Van Doren, son of then president and co-owner James Van Doren at age 13. Mark's design was a stencil, allowing the logo to be spray painted onto skateboards. Smart. The design was incorporated into the heel tab on Style 95, an early Vans skateboarding shoe. And with the rise of skateboarding culture in Southern California and Mark's interest in skateboarding, Vans began manufacturing skateboarding shoes. Now, normally they would say the rest is history, but come on, you know me. That's not where this ends, because then came Jeff Spicoli, played by Sean Penn, and his character quickly became the face of the film and helped establish the surfer bro persona. What really stood out about Jeff was his style, or lack thereof, consisting of Baja sweatshirts, or commonly known as drug kid ponchos, long sleeve t-shirts layered with short sleeve t-shirts, and he spawned a fashion trend. Spicoli's shoes, classic checkered slip-on Vans. Now, the costume department was not responsible for this styling. The credit goes entirely to Sean Penn. When she signed on to direct Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Amy Heckerling wasn't an expert in California culture. Heckerling had little knowledge of Southern California style and fashion. And as a New York native, she understood what was being worn in Times Square, not down by the beach. And according to Heckerling, quote, "In those days, a lot of actors could decide what they wanted as their costume. This was before the days of product placement and before you had clear products before using them on film. When I came to direct the movie, I wasn't familiar with Southern California culture." Sean Penn brought in his own checkered slip-on Vans himself, and I really liked them. And Penn wore the shoes throughout the movie and helped bring the then niche brand into the main street. And almost overnight, Vans were recognized nationwide when they had largely been just a West Coast staple before. And that definitely helped the company, but it wouldn't sustain them forever. And of course, Penn is cited as the reason the company became so popular in the 80s. But Vans, I think like any major fashion brand, goes through cycles of ups and downs, falling in and out of favor with various youth subcultures. And On display are a few of my boyfriend's Vans shoes. Now, he's rocked Vans ever since his high school days, and I guess you could say he is a Vans fan and I guess a Vanessa fan. I'll let him verify that for sure though. By the early 90s, the sneaker company had become popular among skateboarders on the East Coast, but was now being replaced by fashion-forward companies that connected skating culture with sneakers. So, beginning in 1995 and lasting until 2019, Vans sponsored the Warped Tour. At the time, the largest traveling music festival in the US and Canada. And by the early 2000s, Vans struggled to compete in a saturated market. Ryan Posabon, a sneaker designer, changed everything. Posabon had a different attitude. He wanted the company to lean into their vintage appeal. So instead of following other companies by creating the new chunky styles that were then popular, I was never a fan, Posabon wanted to tweak what made Vans popular 2 decades earlier and market Vans as a vintage lifestyle offering. Needless to say, it worked. The Vans slip-on remains a popular shoe across multiple demographics. I even bought my son 2 pairs of Vans sneakers last year. Loves them. And while Spicoli didn't care much for his outward appearance, he was always seen wearing his Vans checkerboard slip-on shoes in every scene of Fast Times, including his first meeting with his rival, Mr. Hand. In a later scene, Spicoli showed up to class with the shoes on his hands, giving audiences a good look at what the soon-to-be famous character was always wearing. And who can forget when he famously hit himself on the head with the shoe to demonstrate how stoned he was. And because of Fast Time's success and impact on the popular culture, Vans soon found itself reaching an even wider audience, and it was all thanks to Spicoli and his slip-ons, now considered the original within the company. So go ahead and take an ollie to the subscribe button so you never miss any of our content. We appreciate our listeners, our viewers, our supporters. We enjoy bringing you great content. There's a lot of fun stuff coming up, including our second Summer 11 series. You're gonna wanna stay tuned for that. As always, we appreciate our listeners, our supporters, our viewers. New episodes of the Real Relationships podcast drop every Thursday, along with this show on YouTube. So go ahead and find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. As always, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.